morning, it's March 20th. This is Two My Liberal Friends. I want to talk today a little bit about some of the violence that's going on around the country. Tesla dealerships, people who own Teslas are having their cars damaged, in many cases just burned. And yet, where are the Democratic leaders who want to call out this violence and say it's got to stop? During the Biden administration, we had people who went to school boards being called internal terrorists. But yet the Democrats seem to have lost their voice. And anybody, even among my friends who are critical of Trump, they seem to have lost their voice on this. And maybe they're cheering them on. Now, I've said on many occasions when I was first working in Washington, D.C., that collegiality was so much better than it was today. I still view Congressman Jim Clyburn as a good friend. We can disagree politically, but we can still be friends. But here we are only 3 months into a new presidential term, and the political discourse and harsh rhetoric is exceeding anything I've ever witnessed in the past. Now, I believe this lack of collegiality began in 2000, when Democrats became convinced that somehow George W. Bush had stolen the election from Al Gore. They ignored the fact that every recount showed Bush winning Florida by a close margin. It was so bad that all the Clinton White House staff removed the W's from the keyboards. They had assumed they would keep their jobs if Gore won, and now they were sending out resumes. And it's gone downhill since then. So who do you blame for this anger? Well, I can ascribe blame to multiple people and things. I can blame Republicans, particularly those on the hard right, who lash out at Democrats and even call Republicans who don't fully agree with them rhinos. It's a defensive term, because I want the Republican Party to be a big tent, encompassing a lot of different views. But in the end, shouldn't we all be Republicans? I can blame the Democrats in their resistance effort where they suffer from what I call TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. They lose all sensibility when it comes to Trump, and nothing will appease them. I can blame social media where people feel compelled to vent their anger. Finally, I can blame cable news stations where they're on 24 hours a day and playing to their base audience by rallying them up to oppose the other side. Well, getting down to brass tacks of the issues, I can blame politicians. It's a sad but inescapable truth that few, if any, elected officials inside the two political parties really care much about finding common ground with the other side to help advance our national interests. Neither side is willing to take any responsibility whatsoever for the decrepit state of contemporary politics or tack in a different direction. The politicians most likely like the current situation and perhaps profit from it. At a minimum, they passively endorse it and keep their heads down. Neither the current president and his supporters nor the past president and his backers appear willing or able to engage in any thoughtful political discussion and debate to help advance the well-being of all Americans. Few elected officials in either party think or operate independently, outside of narrow-minded partisanship. The policy questions and debatable solutions are all predetermined, and partisan politicians self-censor and actively hector others to keep everyone in line. The zero-sum formula remains the same. You're either with us and righteous, or you're with them and contemptible. Seemingly no issue, however important the national stability and prosperity, can escape the gravitational pull of partisanship. Instead of collecting and examining facts, scrutinizing a variety of policy options, and reaching some agreement on temporary solutions to pressing challenges, the partisans' goal is to determine whether a particular issue position makes them look good with their ideological base and triggers the other side into fits of pique and irrational behavior. Partisan gloating when in charge, partisan outrage when not. Mutual partisan loathing and motivating reasoning always. So how do we resolve this? And the better question is, how can we fix the problem? Well, I think the first step is to accept reality. As a Republican, I was forced to do this when Obama became president, and again when Biden was in the White House. Trump is the president for the next 4 years, and his party will control both branches of Congress for the next 2 at a minimum. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. Or maybe you don't care one way or another. Arguing about the fact that Trump is president and is mostly doing what he said he would do, good or bad, achieves nothing. Raging on social media and fighting incoherently about Trump is basically no better than yelling at the clouds. If you don't like what he's doing, convince more people to vote for Democrats in 2026 and 2028. If you do like it, enjoy the ride. Convince more people to stick with the president and Republicans in future elections. If you don't care either way, tune out politics and get on with other things in life. Partisan politics at the national level can end up being a dead end in your life. Constantly praising whatever Trump does and expecting everyone else to do the same, or conversely freaking out and mindlessly fuming about his every action on an hourly basis, doesn't change the fact that the current president and his party have control of government for the near term. Hopefully they achieve good outcomes for Americans. If not, accept reality, Move on to other things, work on issues in your local community, and vote for your desired candidate when the time comes. The next step would be to start looking for some form of nonpartisan citizenship. By that I mean free your mind from the heavy partisan views you might hold and start focusing on what you think might be the best course of action on individual issues. You can like some aspects of the Trump Republican economic and social agenda and dislike others. You can agree with some Democratic criticisms of Trump and think they're off the rails on other fronts. What I'm saying, what I'm asking for, is that people take a step back and take a breath and realize that all this anger on both sides is not doing the nation any good. Comments like I cannot go to dinner with any of my family because they don't share my political beliefs is ludicrous. Celebrities promising to leave the country if a certain politician is elected is ridiculous. And please, would the Democrat and the media quit saying we are losing our democracy? The American people voted, and that is democracy. Somehow, you ought to ignore with the will of the people because it does not conform to what you would want to happen politically. Please, give me a break. Get over yourself. Start being civil. All of you. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.